of the screen. Then click on the change layout and select spotlight. Do not turn on your screen sharing on present your screen at any time. When joining meeting, turn off video, turn off microphone. If you do not follow the protocol and it causes disturbance to others, you may be removed from the meeting. E-certificates will be provided to all the participants. It will be issued after submitting the feedback after their online session. So I wish you a fruitful online learning experience. Take care and stay safe.
Shivam, I think we should start. The guest is already here.
Sure, sir. So a very good morning to our esteemed guest for today, Dharmendra Jain sir. Sir, very good morning. And Director Sir, Abhijit sir, ma'am, and all esteemed faculty and staff members along with the students. So as we have a session upon flourishing careers and in emerging technologies, before we start this session, as we have a tradition of welcoming our esteemed guests, so I would like to invite our Director Sir with a floral welcome to our esteemed guest, our honorable guest. Sir, please present the floral welcome to our today's guest.
Thank you.
I would also like to invite Director Sir for a welcome speech for Dharmendra Sir so that we all can start the session.
Yeah. Thank you, Shivam.
Thank you, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. I, on behalf of Sri Vaishno Institute of Management, faculty, staff, and students, heartily welcome Mr. Dharmendra Jain on this session, a virtual session. And I'm thankful to him for having accepted our invitation to share his knowledge and experience with our students. Mr. Dharmendra, we are really delighted to have you on board. And I know this is the time when students, when they are, since last 1.5 years, they're sitting at home, studying online, and they have, many pent-up frustrations because they are not able to move out. They cannot meet their friend, physically. A lot of difficulties students are, facing, and many of them are combating it successfully. Many of them are, facing it difficult to combat with the same. In such a time, and this kind of deliberation would definitely show some ray of hope, and which will help them in designing or aspiring for better future. So once again, I congratulate the entire team Chanakya, so Mr. Joshi and other people who have made it possible to have this lecture today. And I thank you, and I hope the students will have many takeaways from this session, and it will help them to carve a niche in their career. Thank you very much. Over to Shivam now.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm certainly assured that our students will get benefited out of it, and they will be able to bridge the gap between their academics and the industry experience with the help of Dharmendra, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to introduce you with our honorable guest, and with the introduction of Dharmendra, none other than Dharmendra, sir. Dharmendra, sir, is our eminent speaker for today, and the event is organized by Industry Institute Interface Cell, and the event name is Chanakya, the Strategist. As you know that, as name suggests, the Strategist. So we call the strategists like Dharmendra, sir, so that they can actually give the broader vision to our students that how top level management professionals think, how top level management visualize things, how they frame the plans of their company. And as all our students love to know the corporate, and they have this love for entering in the corporate environment, so I believe there will be that will be a great advantage to our students attending today's session, and they will be greatly benefited to it. So without any delay, I would like to introduce something about Dharmendra sir. Mr. Dharmendra Jain is a seasoned data and insights professional, having over 2 decades of market research industry experience, including over a decade in Africa. He specialized in research operations, technology-enabled innovations, data processing, analytics, and passionate about data science and artificial intelligence. Sir is a member of ESOMAR, European Society for Opinion and Marketing Research, and Marketing and Social Research Association, which is called as MSRA, Kenya, Africa. Sir holds a master's degree in applied physics from GSITS Institute Indore, GS Institute of Technology and Science, SGITS as we all know that, and an MTech in future studies and planning from Divya Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. He has done several certificate courses in the areas of computer technology, data analytics, and data mining, including the recent one, postgraduate executive program in data science, business analytics, and big data from Aegis School of Data Science, Mumbai, India. Mr. Dharmendra started his career in 1997 as a market analyst from a telecom consultancy firm, Behram Waria and Associates, Pune, in India. Then he joined IMRB, Indian Market Research Bureau, as analysis executive in 1998. He played an instrumental role in setting up and managing data processing and analysis for a large media industry called Indian Readership Survey, IRS, for NFO World Group India in 2002. Then Sir moved to a global market research outsourcing firm, Agam Solutions, in 2003, and managed their 2 biggest client processes for data processing. Mr. Dharmendra Sir then joined Kantar, Nigeria in 2006, successfully managed and led data processing and analysis for Kantar, Weka region, before he was promoted as operations director for Nigeria in 2012 and West Africa role in 2014. Sir has been instrumental in transforming data processing, electronic data collection, migration, developing technical solutions, automation, and data quality standards in Kantar. Dharmendra Sir is currently based in Nairobi, Kenya. So I think the introduction of Dharmendra Sir, you know something about his great background, that the eminent speaker that we have today with us, you will definitely be greatly benefited out of the Sir's experience and his learnings. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shivam. That was a fantastic introduction. And
thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to, let me just start sharing my screen before I go further, so that at least you can see the, 1 second, please. Hope you can see my screen.
No, sir. Not yet, sir.
How's it now?
Yes, it's visible now.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you very much, the National Institute of Management, for inviting me for this talk. I'm really, really very excited today. So thank you, Dr. George Thomas, Dr. Mr. Arvind Singh, Nick Shama Patinkar, Dr. Abhijit Chatterjee, and my friend, Professor Somesh Joshi. I'm really, really excited to be on this talk. And I think there are 2 reasons for that. Is one, of course, I started my graduation and post-graduation and my educational journey from Indore. So Indore is my second home, right? And I'm looking forward to this discussion and conversations, believing that I will take a trip down to memory lane while talking with you guys. And the second one is quite interesting one, a small story which I would like to share. In 1993, when I passed out from SGSITS, my master's in applied physics, I was contemplating getting into Master of Business Administration MBA. And that time, obviously, prestigious institute like Vaishnav was quite sort of, I was admiring and hoping to get admission, and I did apply that. Unfortunately, that time I couldn't make it, and I kind of wish that I could have actually got into it. I would have been in a different place today. So from those days, I have a huge respect for Vaishnav Institute. This institute has been actually quite instrumental in shaping careers, lives, and producing world-class talent. So super excited. Thank you once again, and I hope in next 40 to 45 minutes you will see or you will hear that some of the things which I have in my journey observed, understood, implemented in my area of work. And I think the purpose is really sharing a little bit of knowledge here and also learning from each other. So the way I thought I will order my talk today is that I will give you a bit of context. Why are we here today? And then we'll move to the topic of the day is about technologies, right? What are the emerging top technologies and how that is shaping our life, our world, and everything around us. And at the end of the day, how this is creating opportunities for budding sort of professionals and career aspirants and students like you. And then we'll see how we can actually add more skills, how we can make ourselves future-proof as we have technologies which are also coming as future-proof. And some of the tips or mantras, how to crack this, how to hack the success, and perhaps a little bit from my own experience, what has worked for me. And then towards the end, we will have the question answer sessions. So without further ado, I want to start. But before I go further, maybe one or two points I would like to make it clear. During this presentation, you will see a lot of information, and that's completely not mine. I have really kind of compiled this from the sources. And number two, there might be some areas where you may find that you will have, or I'll have to find more. So I will try to get you the answer as much as I can. If I cannot, I would love to come back to you later on if you have any questions on that one. And then working in a new setup like remote working, there could be a chance that technology will play its role and they might act up. And so that please be patient. I'll be back in case of an interruptions. Okay, so let's start with the context. What are we talking about and why are we here today? Right, so today we are talking about the opportunities lying ahead due to the change happening around us in terms of technologies. And the technologies brings change not only to just in terms of the new opportunities or jobs and all that, but I think it has a huge broader impact to the world and the human and the society as a whole. And I find this particular quote from a futurist, Alvin Toffler, the great growling engine of change, technology. And that's really so profound, because if you think that technology actually feeds into itself, means it brings a lot of change in the almost all sort of dimensions of humanity, the behavior, the society and transactions and everything. It plays a role. And when we get into it, you will find that one technology brings another technology. So it's a continuous thing and it has a huge, huge impact. And that is why we need to really mind that. So just to kind of give you, set the scene about technologies and why we are talking about technologies and what does it mean for us as human, as well as what is in terms of the opportunities. I think we need to really start, let's take a step back and understand where this is all coming from. Okay, so just to kind of give you a little bit of a teaser over here, and I know the youngsters currently, they started directly with the mobile phones, the smartphones. I'm not sure how much they know or they have interacted with the previous technologies. So let me just test a quick test to you. I don't know how many of you are aware or know this picture and what it is called. I wish this session could have been a physical one or face-to-face one. Perhaps I would have asked or gotten some answers from you, but that is something called a gramophone, which came in the early generation for baby boomers as a first generation, and they found this as a technological advanced thing, and they were very happy. When we have radio came and people were quite happy with tuning radio from somewhere. And then, I don't know how many of you can recognize this image. Well, I will have Mr. Joshi to get some answer later on, tell me. But it's one of the key component in radio. It's called diode. And then this tape, cassettes. And then you have floppy drive if for the Generation X or millennials, the starting point. And this very much sort of a camera, film roll camera, which I think is today non-existent, right? And the typewriter. So those are the technologies in previous generations, and people were quite excited with having these technologies around them, and they thought this life is so cool, really. And look at that today where we are. Okay, so the technologies today, it's all about completely different. It's a different thing which during previous time it is hard to imagine that it could be the case. So look at the drones. We have the drones, we have got AR, VR, gaming console, let's car now, and we have a robot getting a citizenship from a country. I think a few decades before, it was very hard to imagine the time like this. So that tells that how the rate of change within technology sector and how that is really disrupting the whole world and everything around us. And we will call it's a sheer disruption. And that disruptions make us think as to really, we need to also think and perceive things around that way in order to really respond to this in our own favor and development for the society, nation, and our own betterment. But what is this today's generation, if I have to ask? And really, this generation, we call it Gen Z, and Gen Z is all about the kids who are born with mobile and smartphone, and they started really touching the screen and playing around. But do you know what happens on the internet, right? So I don't know if this has come across to you already, and the amount of thing happens on the internet is beyond imagine. Just to bring something on perspective, within 60 seconds, you have 500,000 posts on Facebook, around 350,000 tweets, around 3.47 minutes. I think it's is for video created on the YouTube. So this enormous data is being created within 60 seconds. So when you have this kind of volume and this kind of speed, digital format, at the end of the day, it is creating so much of content and so much of information. Perhaps that will really bring the revolution, and that is what the basis for, they call it Industrial 4.0 revolution, digitalization or digital transformation. That is what all the companies, all the businesses, all the the key economies talking about digital transformation. That's the foundation of today's technologies or emerging technologies today. So let's move to the next section of this presentation. It's about knowing emerging technology. So we understood in the previous section that how that why some invention happened. There has to be some necessity, and therefore we need to understand what are those factors which is causing these kind of disruption around us. The first one, which is about computing power and speed. Computing power, if you recall, then those days when the floppy disk and those kind of CDs were around, you hardly sort of barely manage with few megabytes of storage, and then you really have those kind of Pentium, Intel kind of laptops where you have a limited speed. But today, if you go to any electronic shop, you can within 50 rupees you can find a pen drive which can easily store 8 GB and beyond that. That means storage, computing power, storage, everything has actually shrunken. It become cheaper, faster, and you have mobile which is high speed, you have laptop which got highest processing speed and all that. That has become a thing right now. Next one is about increased connectivity, right? We all are connected through broadband, fiber, 5G, 4G, that kind of connectivity, which is almost making a virtual reality possible. We have in the finance sector, we have transactions happening on mobile money. We have electronic transfer and everything. That is revolutionizing the finance side of it, the transaction side of it. Then you have a new form of entertainment coming up, right? So COVID has brought a new sort of challenge to us, like we all are stuck at home, can't go have outing with our families and all that. Here we can't go to the theater, but we definitely have got multiple OTT platforms. That's like a blessing in these times, especially in likes of Netflix or Amazon Prime and all kind of things. So that is another thing is possible through technology. You have enhanced healthcare. That means you can actually virtually consult your healthcare expert, consult doctor, and get advices. You can actually share your result diagnosis online. There are a lot of wearables, health devices available. Then you have enhanced access to education. We'll talk about that briefly in later section, how these new platforms helping really in terms of acquiring new skills. In transportations, which is coming more from the mode of transport, you're getting into a very modern personal vehicles, cars, and things like that, which is bringing a lot of ease and convenience. A lot of focus on the energy side, right? Sustainable energy, green energy, and everything which is really shaping our world, the way we are interacting. Sorry, once again. Yeah. So next one on the virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality we'll talk about briefly in the later on sections, but that is also bring a lot of things possible in the area of gaming, in the area of health and other fields. And the last but not the least is automation. Automation is actually everywhere, every walk of life, every type of work, every type of industries and discipline or field. Automation is coming through various forms of technology. So these are the factors, these are the things or aspect of today's life and in today's world, which is really causing that kind of need for these technologies and new ways of working, new behavior, new way of transactions and everything. And therefore it has become very much important to know why we need to mind the new technology and why we need to really think about digital transformations, right? Moving on to really talking about very specifically what are these technologies we have got today, which is emerging, which is flourishing, which is creating a lot of opportunities career-wise and otherwise as well. So the first is artificial intelligence. We know that we've heard a lot. I don't think there will be anyone who is not aware of artificial intelligence. it is seriously disrupting across the field. And I will go in bit in detail in the next few slides. I'm not going to take a lot of time here right now, but that's number one. Then you have Internet of Things. Internet of Things is becoming a huge area for development, especially in the manufacturing side. It is going to bring a lot of revolution as we talk, because then all the devices will be connected and all that. Robotics, again, is not a new field, but there has been a lot of advancement recently, and especially in the size where the manufacturing side of it, or maybe there are areas where robots can play a part where human life at risk. Blockchain is another one, which is really the backbone of the today's very famous cryptocurrency, but it is not going to restrict about just cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins and Ethereum. But blockchain is a concept where it is going to revolutionize the finance side of it, the transaction side of it, because it brings that kind of open ledger system. 5G in the area of telecom services, we already on 3G, 4G, right? 5G, which means higher speed, bigger bandwidth. It will allow a lot of things almost in the real time, because that will have that kind of capacity to take on. And in IoTs will definitely going to thrive on this 5G technologies. The next one is cloud and edge computing. Cloud computing, again, it's not a new thing. We have so much happening already on cloud, right? We have Google Drive, the very basic example of how cloud is working. Now, today you have a lot of software is as a service, right? You don't have to store on your hard drive, but you can still enjoy the software or platform by subscribing it. That's what the cloud is. It is storage thing. Now, which is really coming in called edge computing. For example, like driverless car, where you do not want the latency while transaction happening or information accessed through server. You need something to happen then and there. That's what the edge computing is. At that point of use, you have that kind of storage. Cybersecurity, again, happening, a very promising career coming up due to the data protection law, GDPR, and the threats by the hacker for the security. So most of the companies really putting a lot of investment in cybersecurity to ensure. That's another happening area, and for student, it is a really good sort of career choice. Then you move to voice interface and chatbots. This is more towards the marketing side of it, the customer care, the custom orientation, where you have a lot of interaction happening. So, for example, typical banking website, you go and you have some query, and you will type something. Then chatbot will appear as a window with some kind of persona, and it will ask, "Can I help you?" So that thing is going to revolutionize the human interaction side of it, especially in the side of where you have consumer FMCGs kind of interaction, where your customer experience kind of point or interactions. Then computer vision. Computer vision is nothing but really the object recognition, image recognition, and also this goes very much into the field of applications like driverless car, right, where they need to really see everything through the computer vision, analyze the object, analyze the image, and really make sense out of it. So that is not only this one application, there are hundreds of other areas where computer vision is coming up. It's a part of visions. Autonomous vehicle, I did mention multiple times about driverless car, which is going to come, which is a lot of drones, a lot of other vehicle, which is going to run on its own. That is going to come. In the area of genomics, which is really health, is about looking into the gene editing. Like, currently we are in pandemic. We're talking about a lot in terms of how the virus and the cells and all that kind of stuff, we become more aware of this area. And in the future, there is a kind of which will help producing better gene or modification of that. Drones, again, it's a not new thing. We all know that it's already playing a huge critical role in the areas where we have conflicts and things like that. Drones are also being used for logistics, and that is another area where technology is playing up, coming up. Quantum computing is a very recent one, and people are saying it is going to revolutionize the whole world, because that will bring the computing multiple times faster than what we are today right now. RPA is robotic process automation, which means some of the mundane tasks within the organizations can be automated using these kind of processes. Like, for example, you have typical invoice processing, which requires really moving few inputs from one form to another form. In documentation side of it, you can easily replace by robotic process automation. So that's really coming up in a huge way, because that's the low-hanging one. 3D printing, again, from the manufacturing side, already really creating a lot of interesting update or interesting development. There are, I heard, already printed a house using 3D printing, and that is going to revolutionize again the way how we use products and produce and manufacture them. The last but not the least in this list is called NLP, which is a natural language processing, is again as a branch of artificial intelligence, and a lot happening already. A very good example of that one is that you might be having a smart speaker in your home, right? And that's where you say, hey, Alexa, can you get me this information? Which is nothing but the voice input processing, converting into a instruction that goes in your own natural human language, but computer understand this, process it, and get back to you in the same language. So these are the few top emerging technologies. And what does it mean that in each of these is what the lot of career opportunities being created, a lot of skills required, a lot of talent required in that. So definitely something for watch for. But let's get a high level perspective on the technology side so that we understand from the high level, okay? So worldwide, technology industry is so big, around, as per IDC, which is the International Data Corporation, it is estimated to be 5 trillion in 2021, and it is moving with a growth rate of 5%. When you look at that, software in the IT industry is broadly categorized in software, right, hardware devices, then IT and business services, then emerging tech and telecom services. These are the main sectors within the technology side of it. But what's happening in Indian market, IT market? You know, Indian market, as we all know that India is a superpower when it comes to delivering IT services to the rest of the world. Is a global leader with 52%, a lion's share of 52%, which is really huge. That's why Indian IT professionals, Indian technical professionals, they are welcomed in every single country of this world, right? I have visited many countries, and wherever I go, I really find Indian colleagues, Indian friends working in this sector. So this is really interesting one. There's a lot of opportunities for all of us. However, within India, the overall industry is estimated to be 194 billion, which is really huge. And the point of sharing this is really to understand where to look at. If you look at this pie chart, then around 50%, almost half of the IT sector is all about services, right? IT services, which is about software development and providing that kind of services, and outsourcing services to all the companies, to all giants, technical giants, non-technical giants in the world. So those are the areas where you can actually look for when it comes to developing your skills. I just, out of my interest, I thought maybe it's a good idea to really look at what's happening in the scene of Indian companies. There are there are 3 to 4 top companies. As you know, the TCS is the world most respected company when it comes to Indian IT company, apart from Infosys. So TCS has actually started recruiting around 1,500 people just to cater a UK market alone. Tech Mahindra has actually announced a partnership with a company who's very good on the RPA side, OCR, and which is in the area of artificial intelligence, right? HCL is another thriving company from India, doing a lot of stuff. They have done the announcement. They have announced a partnership with Airbus. Then Ultrix, who is a market analytics company. Then Microsoft is also announced their partnership with Intel in the area of Azure Stake SCI. So there's a lot happening just to kind of bring the excitement about IT, especially in the context of India and of course rest of the world. Now, moving on, I would like to just maybe take you through a little bit closer to 2 or 3 areas where I can say a little bit. I have more familiarity, and I can actually, in my from the area of work, I have used them, or I'm currently using it. Perhaps I can answer a few questions on this one as well. So, artificial intelligence is the most exciting stuff happening around us, and if you heard of Dr. Anduning, who is a founder of Baiju, he's been on Google AI, and currently he's running Coursera and deep learning. He said one quote, and which was become really kind of quite a phrase called "AI is the new electricity." So the way electricity in early 90s actually redefined the humanity. Electricity is being used everywhere, right? Similarly, AI is going to come to us everywhere. So there is not like one application area. It is going to come in every single aspect of our life. That's how AI is going to transfer our life. That's why we can't ignore it. Now let's look at the few mind-blowing facts about this. As per one survey, 15% of enterprises are using AI, but they are saying 31% said that AI has got the top of a space or a place in the list, in the agenda. That means many organizations actually planning to invest in AI. Okay, there are many other examples. I will not read everyone over here, but basically, what is the point? Coming from all these points is AI is big on the company's agendas or CEOs' agendas. There are a lot of other applications from the consumer side, right? For example, if I have to pick one, in a survey of 1,600 marketing professionals, 61%, regardless of company size, pointed that machine learning and AI as their company most significant data initiative. So a lot of investment is being put in by the companies in the form of bringing AI in their functions, in terms of their investment to bring the right kind of skill set or the data analytics or AI and every sort of skills, so they can transform their business. Now, in a nutshell, I mean, just to give you a perspective here, what AI can do. When people have been asked what do they think about AI, and that's how the results are, right? 37% feel that it can interpret your speech, right? 5% believe that it can replace human interactions. Okay, 50% of the people believe that it can solve problem. 57% said that the ability to learn. There are some people, they also believe that it can play games, run surveillance, and replace human jobs as well. But there are very less chances of replacing human and control your mind. So yes, there is some question mark, but there is a lot of promise from AI. So what exactly AI does? Let me just give you maybe very real life example which you can relate with AI, right? So AI is what in typical computer computer program you give inputs, then you have output, right? That's how it works, like that. So you have input, then you have output, right? In this case, what happens is that you give the computer algorithm the input, and you also suggest the certain outputs. Then AI algorithm will figure out what is happening in between, right? That's how it is, right? So it learns from what you have fed in, and it starts behaving it. Here, like for example, when you go to e-commerce or online platform, which I'm sure you all did, because today and during the time of this pandemic, we all become kind of dependent on the online ordering, right? Amazon and various other platforms. So when you choose or when you order something, what happens? You see other products, right? Which says that the people who bought this camera also bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have huge amount of recommendations coming up in terms of products. That is nothing but the recommendation model. It is coming from AI, right? So it actually shows you what you can get it. It also shows you the advertisement and other things, perhaps based on the similar kind of purchase behavior from the similar kind of the buyer previously. Is entertainment recommendation? Yes, Netflix, right? Any other platform in US, Amazon Prime. You can take. You watch one movie, it will show you similar other movies with a similar genre, and it will say people also watched. That's another example of AI. Alexa's digital assistant voice. I gave the example of Alexa, Google Home, and other ones, right? You have Siri and other ones where you Google Assistant, where you say something, hey Google, can you set my appointment for 7 o'clock tomorrow? It will do that. So that's another example of AI. Sales forecasting, yes, companies have been doing this. Everybody wants to know how my sales is going to be next. Then there are a number of models which actually predict the sales and other factors of marketing. So that's another example of AI. Customer purchase behavior. So people and the companies basically analyzing a lot of data. They are trying to understand how the profile of the customer, and from that profile and their transactions and lifestyle, can they really make sense out of it, and can they come up with a new offer? So that's another way of really looking into data, and nothing but certain models through artificial intelligence. I talked about computer vision earlier on, right? So image recognition, again, is something which a typical example of this is, right? When you post a picture with your friends on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, what it does, basically, it tells you, do you want to tag? Looks like this is Mr. So-and-so, right? And that is what nothing but the face recognition. And similarly, you have object recognition, you have other, there's nothing but the AI, right? Driverless car, again, is a new entrant into this. That it has multiple complex AI when it analyzes the traffic data, analyze computer vision and everything, and actually control the every parameters of the driving. So I hope these examples give you how already AI has made a space in our life, right? How much unknowingly we are depending on that. Give you a little bit of sort of over high level definition of AI, machine learning and deep learning. Again, I don't want to assume that you do not know. I am sure this is quite basic, but I just thought of just bringing this. A lot of confusion when people talk about AI, machine learning and deep learning. They also kind of interchange these terms, right? So artificial intelligence is not new. That's been there for many decades, right? Yeah, but it's part of a discipline, part of computer science. So Only thing, the advancement has happened recently a lot. So machine learning falls within it, right? So AI is a discipline, machine learning is a set of techniques, and deep learning is one of the techniques within machine learning. So what AI is that, in human or very simplistic layman terms, machine doing intelligent things is what AI is all about, right? And then teaching machines to do intelligent things, that's machine learning. You have shown the way how one thing should work. That's how machine started learn and started doing that. That's machine learning, right? So there are machine learning techniques available. You have supervised and supervised, and then within that you have deep learning. Deep learning is actually basically a neural network technique in AI, right? Which works in the same concept, the way our neurons or brain works, right? So that's why it's called deep learning. Now, this is the fundamental of the AI. Now, another big thing, big word is big data, right? We all heard a lot. What is that big data? Big data means, if you go by the definition from Gartner, big data is high volume, high velocity, high variety information assets that demand cost-effective, innovative form of information processing, enhanced insight, decision-making, and process automation. Now, let me just make it simple over here. So what we are saying, if you remember my second slide where I said in 60 seconds, how much data is being created in the internet, right? You have all sort of data. We used to have data means numbers, text, date, and all that, right? But today's data is unstructured data. You have image, you have video, you have audio, you have GPS, all sort of data forms are available now. That's the volume we have got. Velocity means speed. The amount of data is being created is never, so as they say, the amount of data created in the last 24 hours, it is as good as been created in ever since the humanity starts. That amount of data is huge, enormous, right? The variety I talk about. So the different type of data, that as I give you example. So that's got typical 3 V's of data, and that forms the big data. And therefore you need a lot of riding on the big data, because first, this huge amount of data definitely means some information, some insight, some knowledge, and therefore you need some instrument, some devices, some IT infrastructure to process it, to make sense out of it. And that what, because if you have only data and if you have not the ways to analyze, it's not going to help. It just become just one of those things which is there, but it's of no use unless you really extract the key insight and use for decision making. And that's where analytics comes into the play, right? So analytics is nothing but analyzing your data, making sense of your data, and really using into a certain perspective and context, decision making or business objectives, right? So analytics is that kind of stream. It's not AI. Maybe some of the AI or machine learning techniques may come in analytics, but analytics at the end of the day is actually analyzing data. About analytics, right? There are 4 ways to look at that. The 4 branches, you may say, or categories, you may say that, right? One is, which is coming mainly from the statistics, right? So just looking at the data and you say, you know what, so many people are there. This is the average, this is the mean and median and all that. This is simply descriptive. You didn't do anything. You just looked at the data and you're telling that, okay, this is how the data is looking like, descriptive. Second one is prescriptive, which is actually suggesting that maybe this means that he's trying to correlate something. His maybe correlation, regression, and trying to bring some sort of relationship over here. So that's called prescriptive one. The next one is predictive, which is actually using another level of statistic modeling and predicting something. A very good example of prediction is that if my brand is so strong today, which has got so much of sort of number of users, what will happen next year. I want to predict the sales. I want to predict the brand love or the number of consumer interactions. That is where the regression modeling comes. There are a number of techniques within that. So your regression, classification, clustering, and all that. That will come under predictive. Then the last one is intuitive. Remember, I talked about deep learning, right? So deep learning is based on neural network, and neural network actually is it intuitively find out what might be happening and what might happen, and that is the core of the AI. Actually, that's the advanced form of the analytics. I will just take one more slide over here just to go a little bit detail of data science, because many people again do not really get the data science as a discipline, as a career option. Data science is not just one discipline. It's not one thing, right? It is a multidisciplinary area. It requires a combination of various expertise or skills. For example, a data scientist should be someone who has got very good coding skills. He's very good in programming Python or R or SAS or SPSS, right? Who understand how to really use the data, analyze the data using coding. Then someone who is also understand which model to be used with the data. So some knowledge of mathematics, statistics has to be there. And then domain expertise, which means which field I'll be talking about. Like, for example, I come from marketing research. I must know that what the business or marketing question I'm trying to answer. Do I need to really run factor analysis or cluster analysis? Do I need to do really pricing study? That means I need to do optimization or conjoint or trade-off analysis. You have to understand from the domain perspective, because it's not plain coding. It's not plain exercise. That's where you bring all sort of things, all three verticals together, and then you become data scientists. That is why nowadays, if you look at the data science field, asking one person to have all, right? They are saying data engineer, you have feature engineer, okay? Can you do data visualization is another field, another tools over there, right? Someone who's very good with the aesthetics, how to present infographics and all that. That's another thing. Then someone who just very good in Python or programming language, who can write very good sort of program. That's where the programmer will come. Then you have someone who's really good with the statistics, who can actually interpret the findings of the results from the models to know whether that's really fitting well or not. I hope that gives you some perspective as to what AI, analytics, big data, and data science. Why I'm going to go into this a little bit more detail, because this is close to my area of work, and perhaps it will help you to really, when you're planning for your careers on the next line. So now I'll move to the next section, which is flourishing career. So we talked about technology, right? So we started with really looking at a very high level context as to what technology is creating into us as human. Then we looked into some emerging fields of technologies, right? Now we will be looking at the career options, what are the hot and what are these flourishing careers are. So I just took this one from one article from World Economic Forum, and then many people they did a survey across 20 economies, right? And 12 in the industry sectors. They understood that around 75 million jobs roles may be displaced by machines and algorithms between 2018 and 2022. Now, many people do have that kind of notions and a kind of concern, apprehension, and fear that once you have AI, once you have robotics, my job will go. But it's interesting to note that in the same thing, while you will go away with 75 million jobs, but it will create 133 million new jobs. So, remember the first quote I said, that technology feeds into itself. That means when the new technology comes, it also brings another set of opportunities. Huge, huge, huge. So nothing to worry. Nobody's going to replace you. Talent and skills are always required, and it will be perhaps in a different sphere. What are the top 10 emerging careers internationally? Now, this slide will give you some idea as to what are the hot things. If you have that thing and if you're really good in that, you are required. You don't have to struggle for your job, right? So this is as per the last LinkedIn survey where they actually find out what are the top hot or required jobs based on their database. Or you will not be surprised that AI is topping the list, right? It's not no-brainer here. It is growing by 74%. Skill-wise, Python, text analytics, NLP, they are like very much in demand. That is something which can help you get job like yesterday. Then robotics engineering also really flourishing. It's coming up a lot on the developed countries side, but also other countries, because currently engineering and the manufacturing sectors is actually deploying a lot. You have to have robotics, physics, maths, and computer science in that. Data scientists, I did talk about briefly, but it's very much in need right now. A lot of vacancies. You go anywhere, hundreds and hundreds of vacancies on data scientists. There's another thing, full stack engineering, right? Full stack engineering is all about, software development and other things where you need software, JavaScript, and other technologies. Site reliability engineer, so more in terms of cloud. I think this is more about cloud. So Amazon Web Services, you have Kubernetes and all that kind of technologies. Side, a consumer success specialist, so somebody who can use the platforms which is like Salesforce, customer relation CRM, and that kind of. Again, it is falling on the. Then you have sales development representative. So again, this is again on the sales and customer marketing side where people can use the platform. You have data engineer, as I was talking with you earlier. Data science is not just one thing. You have multiple facets into it. Data engineering is a part of it, and then you need skills like Apache Spark, Hadoop, Python, and all that. Then behavioral health technician, where you have a lot of disabilities or special needs, and then you need to really cater into that kind of thing. Cybersecurity, not coming up, it's a very hot area because of the data protections or data confidentiality. Each company has to really have a data protection role, and that nothing but making sure the infrastructure and IT is very, very strong on that. So I hope this gives you some perspective as to what is happening internationally, but I think it's very important to look at it, what also hot in India. All right. Now, in all of this top 8, you will find 7 or 6 are actually as good as what you have seen earlier on the previous slide. 8 of that is already there. So AI, data science, cybersecurity, specialist engineering, freelance content, which could be the new over here because a lot of digital content and all that. Digital marketing is also happening. So those roles are really in demand. If you really focus on these kind of areas, I do not see why won't you really get a very rewarding career. I will not go into too much of detail because we've covered some of these in the previous slide. But apart from the technical skill, I think it is also very important to really develop soft skills, which is, according to me, really is a make or break, right? You have to have, apart from your core skills in technical, you have to have very good soft skills because that will help you grow in the corporate world and your area of field of success. So you have to have leadership skills, very good communication skills, because now, remember, we are working in a global environment. No organizations, no business works. You have clientele, you have customer, you have your business associates everywhere, right? So your communication has to be very, very good. You are coming from the technical side, giving the technology field. You should be able to communicate the same concept simply, very, very simply in a business language. Or layman can understand, novice can understand what you're talking about. You don't have to go and talk about the technical nitty-gritty or jargons over there. You have to be very good with the time management in order to ensure that you deliver on time and you respect that time and all that. As I was saying, we are working in a connected world, right? Your collaborative skills is very much a requirement, right? It is all about teamwork. It's about really knowledge sharing, understanding, learning from each other. Those are the things which will help you to grow. And of course, networking, which is nothing but is really making connections, really, and really utilizing that for your mutual benefit. So that's one. So those are the few skills while you are studying, while you're developing your hard skills. Very important to really focus on that as well. Now I will just quickly maybe talk about, apart from what you are already doing as part of your academic course and careers and everything, what happens once you get your first job? That's not done, right? You, irrespective of which stage of the career you are, you have to keep adding more and more skills. You need to keep sharpening your tools and make sure you're increasing your marketability. That's how it is right now. Gone are the days where you've got the job, you're happy, go lucky, and you're done. It's not done. So basically, it is a constant thing. Now, when we talk about what are the ways to keep adding new skills, apart from your college institutes, there are other online platforms available, online courses, certificates, which can help you to really focus or specialize in one or two area which is close to you or where you are very good and you want to really come across, stand out of that. You have to keep upgrading your knowledge and what's happening. So you have to really in touch with the recent development, research, and all that. So you need to read a lot of blogs and articles. Technical side, practical side of it, and the coding or programming side of it, it will not just do if you know. You have to be good while performing. That means you need to work on your hands-on skills. And a lot of hackathons happening, online competitions happening across the world. There are a lot of platforms which have a lot of data available, and you can actually participate. You can actually take freelancing work, pretty much no barrier. You can get freelancing job from anywhere in the world if you go online. Of course, you have on-job training and part-time. These things will help you develop some hands-on skill. Okay, so what are the resources available to add on these skills, right? So some of that, I'm sure they're quite popular, like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, Skillshare, Khan Academy, edX, Kaggle. From that, if you are a pure IT professional, then you definitely know that there are a lot of certifications from IBM, Google, Microsoft, AWS, Oracle, Cisco. So I don't have to tell this to you, but it's very common and public knowledge. But what I'm trying to say over here, that there are various ways and channels available where you can actually develop on your skills. Kaggle, which perhaps I might have to make from a data science perspective. If you are a data scientist or AI practitioner or discipline, I think I will hugely recommend to go to Kaggle, where you have hundreds of data sets available, and they have data hackathon kind of competitions, and the world best algorithm and program and code came out from that, and they have a huge reward in dollars. So some extra works will not hurt you. Now, this is one of the lists I found on the internet. So I'm not going to claim anything on this, but these are the list of valuable IT certifications. If you really want to be good and known, you have to have some certifications. And I must tell you from my own experience and what I have seen internationally, that if you are really looking for a great career starting point or enhancement, you have these world accredited certification. Because if your employer, for example, is from the United States or from the UK or from anywhere, they really want to know, do you have any global certificate or not? because that's how they're going to believe in your skills, to be honest. So I would recommend to really take one of these, depending on which area you come from. Cool. So we have done with all the hard stuff, the soft stuff. The last section of today's presentation is success mantras. Now, success mantras, well, I mean, I've been also asked if I can share a little bit from my own journey. Perhaps that can also help, or maybe give some kind of sort of an idea how you can also hack it. So it's all about how to hack the success. And I will in this section I'll share some of the instances from my own journey, but everyone has their own, and I'm sure they have their own ways as well. But let me just begin with the quote, which I truly believed, and it worked for me, is from Eleanor Roosevelt, is future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Now, this has been really kind of manifested for me. I come from a very humble background, a place called Lalitpur. It's not very far from Indore or Bhopal, right? And as I said, after my 12th college education in Indore, I got admission in PMB Gujarati Science School, and that time electronics, BSc electronics was the first batch. So I was that. To be honest, that time I done BSc. Then you know that in India, I mean, I don't know if I can say that, but somehow BSc, MSc has been seen as something which will not get you a quite sort of rewarding career. So until you have B or MCA or like that. So I was not very much sort of excited with that, but I got into then applied physics, believing that that will get me more closer to the engineering side of it. However, to be honest, I couldn't get any sort of huge sort of launching pad out of that, and I had to really figure out what can I do. Meanwhile, I started doing MTech in future studies in plumbing, but all this thing did not give me that kind of the jump because of the track which I was on it, and it was really becoming kind of whether I will make it or not. And then I started really thinking very differently that what I really want. And even though it is coming like all kind of just another average student, but then I'll have to do it. So you have to have one thing was very clear in my mind, that I will have to make it. I have to make it big. And when I am going to make it big, I have to start from somewhere where you have some or lot of opportunities. Fortunately, I landed in Pune, and where I got my first project as a part of MTech program. I worked in that consultancy called Behram Wadi and Associates, and that has actually started really exposing me to the best side of the cities and the business and everything. I got excited. I visited many places, and that helped me. So then I began to realize it's not about really very sort of known degrees and programs and institutes. It's all about you, your perseverance, and how you show how resilient you are about all that, how you want to pursue that. Of course, you will go through hardship, and then you constantly look for the opportunities. So that then during that time, I had that Bombay is so big, and it's called City of Dreams. So I have to be there, right? So all of inspiration perhaps from the movies of Bollywood. So I was looking constantly for new opportunities, and I got one in IMRB Bombay, and I'm super excited with that one. Really, I have gone. I took a lot of sort of risk over there, but I just chased that, and it worked for me. Similarly, after a few years of going through that, I got an opportunity to work for an outsourcing firm where night shift, and that time I got married. I've got my firstborn over there, and she was just kind of a few months old baby and all that. But I took this opportunity in this outsourcing firm called Ugam Solutions and worked in night shift for 3 years constantly. Really, it's all about exposure, getting that one opportunity which can make you even better. And that time, my motivation to get to this outsourcing is that I will work with international clients, really. That's one. Secondly, obviously, my exposure to these international clients will really make me more polished, more skilled in my communication skills, in my everything what I do in my professional context. So that was the motivation. It really helped me. It got me in my first new car, my home in Bombay, and all that. But then again, is your dream, because your dream was all about really making it big. And I also thought it is a time for me to really expand and in my horizon. Then I was looking for a job, and I got an opportunity in Nigeria in 2006. Now, during that time, Nigeria, because of the negative publicity or the coverage in television, and it was the place considered or perceived as not very safe. A lot of kidnappings and all that kind of stuff was happening. And people were, when I got the job and I decided to pick it up, people are saying, are you really sure about this? It may bring you some kind of risk and your family over there. And I was thinking, right, really, it's all about opportunity, one. Number two, of course, it is not like I'm not looking at the risk, but then I calculated my risk. I for a couple of days to look at the place and understood how it is, and then I took it up. So it is not like blindly you are doing it, but definitely there is a risk. And if you are not ready to pay the price or take the risk, the big opportunity is not going to land it to you. So you have to really follow what you believe in and what you think is going to work. And that has really changed my career, my life, my perspective to the world. So from this story, what I'm trying to tell, that even though you do not have a fantastic starting, you do not have that top A grade sort of institutes or perhaps course or IIM or IITs, and you are just thinking that you are one of this regular guy, don't hold you back. You can still make it. It is all about that kind of grit and determination and believing in yourself. So that's a little bit from my story and some of the mantras which has worked for me, and I would love to share with you all. Hopefully that will resonate to you. As it starts with, as I said, dream big. Dream and dream big. If you are not dreaming, I doubt whether you'll get it. So irrespective of your challenges, you have to have big dreams, and then only you start working that. And you believe that you can do it. There has to be some kind of visualization in your mind that you can achieve this, right? You have to believe in that kind of thing. And when you start that feeling and thinking, it will begin within yourself. You will start figuring out, oh, this is what I am more towards, closer, and perhaps that's what I want to do. And people call that thing as passion. Passion does not come immediately. You will not say, oh, you have to be passionate about something or you got to love. But it's very, very difficult to figure out what you love. Very, very difficult to really figure out where your real passion is. So just keep it up. You will figure out one day. Okay, you have to plan and work hard. Just go and work hard. You have to plan it properly. You have to prepare. There is this huge amount of preparation goes everywhere when you're looking for exceptional results. So do not underestimate the planning part of it. Then, of course, hard work holds a key. And while doing that, you will struggle. You will meet some blocks, stumbling blocks, some challenges. But that's part of the journey, right? You are not going to inspire from that. You are not going to be discouraged. You will continue with that. That is given. Like doing that, if you require to look at certain things to either to course correct or detour, and perhaps you have to take a set of small steps, and your final destination is not looking in sight very close, and you think that the path is quite zigzag. Please do it. You will not. It's not a straight line, right? So do not shy away doing small things while you are still chasing your dreams. Come from any side, anywhere, anyone. So when you meet someone who perhaps not having this so much exciting title or degree or anything, but he might be having very good experience. So you have to be really, really open for all sort of things. Learning is very personal, it's an individual thing. It can come from anywhere, right? Listening is fine art, is the fine art. So there a lot can be learned by just listening. Many people actually don't listen, they just tell. And when they tell, they only tell what they know. So when you are in the group discussions, when you are anything, please try to listen and perhaps bring your own perspective and find opportunity to bring that, right? And as I was telling you earlier on, that there is no time where you will say, I'm done. You have to keep sharpening your tools, working hard, right? Oh, and then the last one is you might be having great technical skills, programming skills. If you don't have the right attitude and behavior, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So attitude comes first. Attitude and behavior comes, which will get you places, I must tell you, irrespective of the boundaries, irrespective of the cultures, color, caste, and creed. You can see me as an example. I went to Africa believing that I'm the only one looking different over there. I don't know whether this will work or not, but believe you me, people loved from everyone over there. I almost felt I'm in my own country. It's all about how you see things. So attitude and behavior is really is the trick over there, and it's all about teamwork, right? There's no place for being just individualistic. It is about teamwork. You have to appreciate the complementary skills, effective to make things work. So these are the mantras. Apart from the technical things which we talked about earlier on, I'm sure they all are very general things which I'm sure everyone do experience and do have those things. So I didn't mean to really say that. Nobody knows that. Maybe I just spirit of sharing this. And if you ask me, 5 things I want to give you, okay? If I want you to really take few things from this, I will say, if you can just take these 5 things, right? Master your skill. So question is over here, why someone should come to you for the job? Ask this question, why this employer should hire me? What is one thing which I can really offer the way nobody else can, right? So that's one thing. Secondly, you have to innovate. You need to ensure that you remain marketable. That means you remain top of it. So you top of your game. That means you have to constantly upgrade. And for those who are coming from the technology side, that's not the new thing, right? We all know that technology is changing overnight. That new things are coming every single day. It's very hard to keep up with the pace. But that's the reality, right? Really mind that thing. Again, many people also say that when trends come, the fashion comes, or anything else comes, you have to be like that. You have to be like that, and kind of thing. What has really I've learned in my life is you don't have to change really. Own your style, be yourself with all your limitations and imperfections. That brings the character out. Okay, that character will make you unique. You are as you are. It's very special. You don't have to copy anyone. Right? So bring your own style in everywhere. All right. So don't afraid to be yourself. Okay. As I was saying, the teamwork is dreamwork in the previous slide. Yes, the lot can come when you start listening, when you start appreciating different perspectives, because no matter how great you are or great someone, but you always be looking things from your own perspective. And therefore it is important to really park them one side and start appreciating other ones, and there has to be zero self-centeredness. If you do things with the start in your mind that what is there for me, then it is going to surface as something which is quite self-centered and but does not go that far. You have to be absolutely selflessly over there. And the last one is all about relationships. Okay, many big things happens, many good things happens to people just by relationship. It doesn't matter whether it's your colleague, your friends, families, or corporate acquaintance, and whoever it is. It is all about building a very good relationship and a network. It will always help you to get there. So, with that, I want to leave you with this thought from Steve Jobs, who has created the most beautiful product and phone and gave this to this world. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuitions, right? The good things will follow. Now, with this, I will stop talking and perhaps it's time for some question answers.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I really wanted to thank you for being an astonishing speaker. When planning an event such as this, it is our privilege to gain the wisdom from the experts like you. Your willingness to share your time and expertise in the area of dropout prevention and college readiness, this session was very critical to the benefit of our students. Sir, we are really fortunate to know from you about almost all arenas. I hope everybody would agree with me that we have got to know almost all arenas of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, deep learning, robotics, big data, and most importantly, sir, I thank you for stating the significance of soft skills too. As I am serving as a soft skills trainer at our esteemed institute, I also felt that yes, soft skills, the importance of soft skills is very high in this emerging world of technology. And I believe your experience and insights was not only meant to be a single webinar, sir, but a starting point for our students to make a great career in emerging technology. Once again, sir, thank you very much for an insightful content, knowledge, and widening our horizons too. Thank you very much, sir. Now, the question answer session, I would invite Dr. Digambar Negi, sir, to ask the question, to conduct the question answer session.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
So, good afternoon to one and all. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, thank you, Shivam.
Thank you.
As you have told that it was a wonderful exposition on emerging technologies, and sir has almost covered all those things which probably a student would like to know about the emerging technologies. But still, we have got certain questions which are coming up from students. I'm going to put forward one by one.
Sure.
Yeah, so there is one. I mean, before I put the students' questions, I would like to ask one personal question. Like one of the slides showed that work smart, keep sharpening your tools.
Yeah.
So we have a course here in data analytics at our institute. So I would like to ask you that what are the tools which a student should be trained on for data analytics?
Okay, so for data analytics, as I was saying, data analytics is a multidisciplinary thing. But let me just make it simple that one has to be really good with tools like, very simply, Microsoft Excel, right? If you don't have, then the other one, you have to be good with something called SPSS, which is a very known statistical and data analytics tool. Then you go for Python, which is emerging one, it's the most strongest, and then R. R is another language which is very much popular right now, and it is best for data visualization and that kind of modeling. And if I just say that if you're really seeing data science or analytics as you would hugely recommend for you to really get some basics of statistics, right? That is not about technology, but it's about background, right? So if you know where to use which classification methods to be used or which models to be used, you will be really, really good. Then develop your technical skills in Python and R. And if you are looking at maybe the data visualization part of it, then you have software called Tableau, which is very popular right now. And then the other one is Power BI from Microsoft, which is also very widely used for data analytics. Your question?
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So the next question was like, having talked about all these emerging technologies, do you think that India has the right infrastructure to kick off advanced emerging technologies projects right now?
So India is also is transforming by leaps and bounds, to be honest. And when I visit my annual visit to India every year, I myself get surprised to see the development in most of the places. It is a huge change happening currently in India. If you look at the startup scene, look at the way people are using Fiverr and the Geo has, and the kind of Paytm, the mobile transaction thing, the way people are using mobile phone, the reach of internet and all that. I do think that India is getting there, and to be honest, it's a huge country, population, strong consumer base, and the scene in terms of startup is changing. A lot of unicorn is coming up. Your ed technology platforms, finance technology, fintech, ed tech, all that kind of thing is actually a sign that India is having all the basics in our components over there in terms for this digital transformation. And of course, our own Prime Minister is also a huge advocate of digital transformation. So I do think that as far as technology is concerned, not if all areas, India definitely has the right propositions to capitalize on these new platforms.
Right, sir. Yeah. Okay. So we have got another question, sir. What are the future impacts of Industry 4.0 technologies on reverse logistics, especially post-COVID recovery time?
Okay, so I must say that I'm not expert for when it comes to logistics, but I do know from one of the articles I was reading earlier on that reverse logistics is all about closing the loop, So when you have supply chain, which means the product moves from the manufacturing site to the end user, you need to also look at what happens if or customer doesn't like that product, where it will go, or some defects happens or anything like that. So you need to really plan to get that product back to the place where it belongs to, or do something about it. And then also another aspect about disposal, which is about what happens when customer uses things and recycling. Do we have product which can be recycled and all that? So when we talk about where the technology is playing a role in that, from my own sense, is that a lot can be done through technology in this particular aspect of logistics, where you can have better sort of planning, collaboration. So if you have, say, for example, very good platform where you track the product, where it has moved from where and where it is right now, and which is the closest center where someone can just go and pick it up, and then you can arrange for the transport. That will happen, that will help that closed loop very well in reverse logistics. And COVID recovery, in the particular question you ask about, COVID recovery means a lot of energy in terms of business side of it. A lot of things needs to be done. People wants to really move faster, what they have lost, or catch up. So there will be a lot. And another aspect COVID recovery also bringing to our life is more consciousness, more sincere approach towards our health, hygiene, and all that kind of thing, which means the product which is being used has to be something which can be factored into that perspective. The technology where you don't have to require touching, physical contact, and all that. So I do think that technology has a role to play when it comes to logistics, and there are multiple ways to designing the product which does not using the IoT's Internet of Things, where you can actually use sensors instead of having physical contact touch, right? You can have GPS monitor, GPS coordinator, and where you can actually look at where the product is. A lot of other things you can do from an industrial revolution 4.0 perspective, where you can bring the IoT, you can bring the 5G, and all that kind of platform things. I hope that answers your question.
Right, sir.
Certainly not the expert here on that.
No, so right, sir. It was quite enlightening. And so in one of your slides, you had talked about like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, and you have given certain examples also where this artificial intelligence has its applications. But again,
Yeah.
like from the student's perspective, I would like to know uh, that what are the some real world applications? Say, for example, for a layman, if somebody wants to know where does AI actually work, how does it work, and what are the real world applications of AI? So, would like to throw some light on that.
Yeah, I think we are, as I said, we are using a lot of AI-based application knowingly, unknowingly, right? So the one thing which I said about when you go to your phone, I'm sure everyone is using a smartphone, right? I want to believe it does not require any knowledge or anything. So even our older folks are using phone. They can type in their own language, right? That's one. And even though they are not typing, they can actually speak to the speaker, and there will be speech to text algorithm. So you just pick up your phone, said, "Do I can't type? I want to just by saying few things," and it will be typed. That's a very good example of AI because that's behind the scene. There is a algorithm called speech to text is happening, right? I want to use another example from the same side, like as I was saying that when you talk about your photos, there are different filters, right? Those filters improves your photo like lighting. So you suppose you've taken a photo which is poor background light and you want to look good and all that, you can actually use the filter. That's another form of AI because that is coming from various other algorithms to really sense the lighting in the image, and then you can actually get the new or better result. Alexa, smart home, that is from Google smart speaker, right? So that is another form of artificial intelligence where you actually interact, voice interaction is happening. Chatbots, where you go to any website where this small window is appearing with digital persona. That is another form of AI, right? So they use text analytics. So you pose a questions, it looks for the database, similar question, similar answer, and intuitively guess that that could be the answer. So that's another example of artificial intelligence. I think there are hundreds of others. If you pick any field, there are already it's over here. Like for example, in banking, if I can give you one example of artificial intelligence, is that in banking, people use credit card, right? Credit fraud detection is another area where it's been in the use for many years, where uh, financial institutes actually need to be sure that any transaction, if someone has done using credit card, is not fraudulent. So they have to deploy that kind of algorithm to really figure out whether this can be true or it cannot be true, right? So I will share my own example. Sometime back on my credit card, somebody hacked it and booked a flight ticket from somewhere in Africa to in the US somewhere. But my bank knew that I don't travel generally to that kind of sort of big places. Immediately, I got a call from the center saying, "Have you booked any ticket?" I said, "No, I didn't," and they immediately stopped the transaction. So those algorithms which actually analyze the behavior and the transaction type and all that can predict. So a lot of predictive modeling is also another AI example. I can also give you more, but sorry, I hope that gives you some sense that how AI is already in our life.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir, for that query which you addressed. Finally, sir, I've got a final question. Like we have been talking about technology for last, say, what, 1 hour or so, and we have been talking about AI, machine learning, deep learning, say, blockchain, IoT, 5G. My question is, technology is not a panacea. It takes right combination of people, process, technology, and timing to achieve the best results. So what would you like to say on this, sir?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you for bringing this up. It's not a panacea. It's not a, what do you call, Brahmastra, in other words, right? If you give it to someone, everything will be fine. You have to make it work for you. It is a tool, right? At the end of the day, it's a mean. It's not, it's the end. So you get so many other things in place to make it really deliver to its objective. For example, if you talk about any new technology, COVID is a very good example, right? Before COVID, remote learning, working from home was definitely not a thing, right? People never thought this will become the new norm of business, working, and all that. But world is functioning. Look how we have adopted this, because there is a time, and I think the greater acceptance comes from greater times, right? So during this time, we didn't have any other choice. So in the behavior, we brought that change. We made things work for us. Technology was there before also, but we started accepting it. We started opening to it. We actually brought certain change in our behavior and our attitude towards it. And now life is normal, right? Similarly, your question is right. Yes, you have to have right attitude, right acceptance, and also enabling environment to really flourish into that one, to make it work for it. So yeah, there has to be in a greater scheme of things, they call it, there has to be a political will for anything, there has to be social acceptance to that, and certain appetite to really change your behavior as well. But that will all come, technology also adjusts. So when you first launch, perhaps it will not work. Then from the user behavior, you will pick certain cues and you modified that technology a little bit on the user experience side. And then ultimately there will be a right time, right? So answer is this: yes, there has to be a lot of factors to work together, but this is journey. I don't think anything works just like that. The technology comes and it worked. No, technology also takes feedback and it improves and all that. So ultimately, it's a bit of process over here, but eventually it can work together.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing the questions. And in fact, I would again feel grateful for answering all the questions so patiently and enlightening us. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed very much.
So thank you, Dr. Digambar Negi sir, for your igniting questions, and thank you, Dharmendra Jain sir, for your enlightening answers. And now I would like to invite Mr. Somesh Joshi sir for expressing the vote of thanks to sir, so that we can forward the session. Somesh Joshi sir.
Yes. Thank you, Shivam sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So a warm good afternoon to everyone. It's my privilege to present a vote of thanks in this Chanakya, the Strategist online expert lecture. I, Someshwar Joshi, on behalf of Sri Vaishnav Institute of Management Fraternity, I extend my most sincere gratitude to our eminent speaker, Mr. Dharmendra Jain, Director Operations, Insight, Kantar, West, East and Central Africa, to grace the occasion by their wisdom of knowledge on the topic fast and flourishing career in emerging technologies, and for sparing his valuable time with us to ignite young minds to make them aware about their bright career in industry with the emerging technologies. And we are also looking forward for your support and association in future as well. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to give special thanks to our respected director, Dr. George Thomas, for their continuous motivation and guidance. We are able to do such a wonderful events. He is really an inspiration for all of us. Thank you, Director, sir. A big thank you to Registrar SVV for SVIM, Dr. Arvind Singh, for their guidance and administrative support. Thank you, sir. I would like to give my special thanks to Head Department of Computer Science, Dr. Shama Patankar, for her guidance and support for smooth conduction and to make this event a grand successful event. And I am also thankful to Head Department of Management, Dr. Abhijit Chatterjee, for his guidance and support. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. I am also thankful to the anchor, Ms. Shivam Dubey, System Manager, Dr. Shailesh
Thank you,
Maheshwari,
sir.
Dr. Kamlesh Malpani, technical team, press media team for smooth conduction and coverage of the session. I am also thankful to all course coordinator, Dr. Jiten Jain, Dr. Jayesh Tiwari, Dr. Pragya Sharma, Dr. Sapna Parihar to motivate the student to participate in this event. My Triple IC team, especially Dr. Digambar Negi, Dr. Namrata Soni, Mr. Sachin Chalisgaonkar, Mr. Arpit Tiwari, all my dear faculty members, and most dearest student who made this event a grand success. Last but not the least, I would like to thank everyone who is directly or indirectly involved in this event. Again, thank you very much to all. Have a joyful learning career in future. Thanks to all, everyone. Over to you, Shivam sir. Thank you.
I
Thank you,
would
sir.
like to personally thank Mr. Dharmendra Jain for sharing such a wonderful insight, and uh, I'm sure that student must have benefited with such uh, wonderful presentation, and very lucidly you have explained everything. Thank you for your time, Dharmenji.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I must say that it was never planned. And I must express my sincere thanks to Professor Joshi, who is very dear friend to me, and he persuaded me. I'm not a seasoned speaker, by the way, just a kind of my sincere effort towards this cause, where I thought it might be a good idea to share some of these things. And I really appreciate everyone encouragement over here. And thanks for giving me this opportunity. I really enjoyed. I
We are
hope.
also honored. We are also
Yeah.
honored, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking forward for future
Yes, sure.
interactions.
We'll
Thank
be
you very
we'll be
much.
bothering you for such interaction in future also.
Not a problem. It will be a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. Thank
Yeah.
Yes.
you.
Thank
Once
you.
again,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Very
Cheers.
special. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
An important information to all the students: you will receive a link right after the webinar, right after this session, and you will have to feed your feedback. You will have to fill the feedback form. Once you feed the feedback, then only you will get the certificate. So please don't forget to mention the feedback in that form so that you all can get the certificates. Thanks everyone for attending this enlightening session. Thanks a lot.
Can we have a group photograph?
And certainly,
Sure, I'll take it.
Yes. I would like to request to all the participants to just switch on your camera so that we can have a group photograph. Thank you.
all the participants, kindly switch on your camera so that we can have a group photograph right now. This session is indeed a memory for all of us, so I request you all to switch on your cameras so that we can take a snapshot of it. It's good to see all the students learning from all the places like farms and homes and everywhere.
Yes, thanks to all. You are looking very nice. Have a smile of learning. Thank you.
Done, sir.
Okay. Once again, very special thanks to all the participants. I hope you have filled the feedback form and soon you will get the certificate as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
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 Okay, once again, thanks to my all team members.
Welcome, sir.
You're always welcome.
Thanks to you.